Time for the mailbag, Abby. Where are we jumping off to?
All right, here we go. So, which 2023 Husker football players do you see being drafted or signed as a free agent in April? And I also want to know, are there guys on the team right now that you could see developing soon, maybe next year, being drafted as well?
I still think either Newsome or Omar Brown has the best chance.
Really? Not Ty Robinson or
for
this draft.
This draft.
For the 24.
This current draft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like next year is going to be drafted.
And Reimer's in that conversation too. So,
okay.
Who else?
I gotta get reconnoitered here. So, yeah, who is it?
I mean, we're basically talking about we forget about Caleb Tanner. I mean, can he get into a roster or a camp? But I think Omar Brown, Quentin Newsome, Luke Reimer are probably the three that have the best chance.
Nordine, maybe Newely.
Nuri.
Yeah.
Is it Nordine? Are we sure on that?
What else would it be?
I'm not trusting either of you guys' pronunciations.
I know the Hausmans pretty well, and they always just call them Nuri.
Yeah, it's spelled Nouredin.
I've never heard anybody but you call him Nordine.
So I'm pretty sure that's his name, like on the roster, but he just goes by Nuri, which is his
Nordine is
nickname.
Jordine, Nordine,
Reamer,
Ryman,
Rail. We do this for hours.
Rail instead of Ryle, but
Newely. Newely will have a chance.
Okay. The Steve Sipple name game, and I'm sure your boys on 1620 like Josh and John, they could probably like put a reel together of your names.
Oh, it's a problem. Yeah, I mean, it can be a problem. There's some I definitely get right. You've heard them.
Yeah. So next year, Ty Robinson, Nash,
definitely.
Maybe Ben Hart.
Ben Hart would have a chance. Ben Scott would have a chance.
Maybe one of those. Is Buford a senior or junior? Tommy Hill.
You would think would have a shot.
Buford is technically a junior.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to play this game, Abby, because it's hard to know who's a junior and a senior anymore. And if
I'm just sticking with seniors, just because we know Singleton, maybe if he plays.
Sure.
What about his potential?
What about Banks, Jamal, or is he a junior? I don't know.
He's a senior.
He's a senior. Jamal
Banks and Naor. They only intend to be here 1 year.
Yeah,
I think Naor could play 2, but he's only going to do 1.
And Sean, you saw them at your event.
Naor looks like a pro prospect.
What'd you think of that? Naor was more physically impressive than Banks to you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Their shoulders are huge.
Yes. He's got like an 80-some inch wingspan.
Naor.
They looked bigger than like Fedoni and Borkature, the tight ends. They look bigger than those guys.
You're kidding.
But they're faster.
Not an exaggeration.
So how would they compare to Purify?
Not
Maurice. Not quite as big?
No. I don't know. I just remember Purify just being like, when I think of like big receivers, he's the first guy I think of. So I don't know if I'd go. I haven't seen Aaron Pads yet in person. Maybe that changes the conversation. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, he looks the part. See how he plays it. But
all right, next question.
What is everyone's take on what you would change as far as the transfer portal and the numbers of times players can transfer without penalty of sitting out?
One time.
Yeah, the one, but again, though, there's waivers and ways around it. I mean, you can come up with, my sick uncle, or, like you can come up with reasons to get a waiver. So I don't know if you can stop it. I don't. And I don't know if you can catch people tampering. I just feel like we've started this, and this is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, eventually, once we kind of get rid of the illusion of this like collective business, schools start paying the players directly, then we can start getting contracts. And if you come in, you can sign a 2-year deal. How about that? To where you're not every year going into the portal and testing the waters. Like,
would the schools want to do that though?
I'm sure. Why wouldn't you?
What if you're a bust?
Yeah, that's true. That's why it'd only be like a 2-year deal.
And again, the thing we don't know about the schools taking over is Title IX. Like, how can the schools pay the players, football players with a Title IX influence involved in the way they operate? How does that work?
Yeah, it seems like a legal matter.
How I mean, are we? Is it NIL at that point, or is it just a fattened stipend?
Yeah, I don't know. These are questions that give me a headache, frankly.
Because right now, Dylan Raiola is paid a legit roster value NIL deal, or he will be. But if the school takes that over, can they do that? Like, let's say 1890 is paying Dylan Raiola. Let's just throw a number out, $1 million.
Okay.
Can Nebraska just say, like, how will they determine like what the value of a player is? And
you know what the key question is in that, Sean? If you're going to fire people now. I mean, you can fire employees. That's the thing that I don't know that players think of as much. Maybe they do. Maybe they already say, well, it's simple. We can already be fired. We get our scholarships taken away.
Yeah. The retirement package is what they call it.
You can't really get them taken away, though, unless you like violate team rules.
See, the whole employee thing, that push for employee status that's interesting to me is the ability to be fired. I mean, I don't know if they think about that part of it. You don't perform, you're fired. I mean, you got to think about that part too.
And we saw very little attrition this offseason because I do think a lot of these guys realize how good they have it here.
100.
And if they enter the portal, all of a sudden they lose everything. And if they end up at, let's just say, a max school or a lower school,
and it happens.
You're going to maybe get your stipend that you had at Nebraska, like the school stuff, but you're not going to get the NIL roster value money.
Oh yeah, people don't think about this, but you go from Nebraska to somewhere in the
northern
MAC,
Illinois.
Yeah, it's an eye opener. I mean, the world is much different in DeKalb, Illinois, than it is in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Gear, food,
everything,
amenities.
Yeah. It's a different world, and that's got to be an eye opener for some guys. Here I am in Toledo. I mean, Toledo. No, I mean these are schools that can play football well and all that, but the setup is nothing like Nebraska.
And
nothing.
It's the gap is widening by the day.
I know.
And I read this from Ross Dellinger this week. One of the complaints is essentially Power 5 programs can create as many as 30 additional scholarship players with NIL. And he said 30 because he was assuming a 105 fall camp. But really, I believe the fall camp roster number is now, I believe it's 120 now.
So more. But
so yeah, you could
even
have,
if it's 30, that's sizable.
But you could have 85 scholarship guys and 30 plus NIL guys that are getting NIL deals that are valued as scholarships. And how do you stop that? How do you stop a person from earning? You can't.
Nope. Apparently not.
America.
Yeah. This is what we want. Again, this is what we wanted. This is what I don't know. Not everybody.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, everyone thought NIL was going to be fun burrito deals and furniture commercials and runs of tweets. That was NIL for about 2 months. Then the boosters got involved and they organized and they created collectives.
And then they quickly found out there's no one there to regulate what they're doing.
Right.
And so,
but for about a month, it was cool to say, oh, so and so's got his own burrito deal and runs a gift card. And I mean,
for about a month, it was about a month.
Now, if you went to a player and said, we'll give you $50 to tweet for a restaurant, they'd laugh at you.
Yeah, the high caliber players would laugh. I'm not going to waste my time.
All of them probably would.
Yeah, you're right.
Like they don't do. That's not even done anymore.
No, good point. God, that's interesting.
Like I remember one guy in Nebraska's team tweeted out like a pet service company or pet sitting company.
Well, and there was the Coldest Crawford with the air conditioner.
Yeah, that's kind of like the pinnacle of that era.
Well, Nash
is doing it now. Yeah,
Nash does it now.
That was kind of the pinnacle of that, though.
But that's still like a legit. I mean, that's probably like I'm just going to guess, like a $10,000 deal.
That's legit.
I mean, it's a legit deal.
Yeah, that's legit.
All right, final question.
Well, we made it through a record number 2 questions before the last one.
Okay.
Our last one. Do you have any fun summer vacation plans or trips?
It is 68 degrees. Time to start thinking about summer.
68
in February.
We're front ending this year. Like we're not going to go like maybe Colorado in the summer, but we've planned this trip out in March to go to Hawaii as a family.
Wow.
With points. I've been saving points up.
Points guy.
So we're going to Hawaii in March, and then I am going to speak in May to the Chicagoans for Nebraska Club again.
Chicago's a great place to
at
go.
The Big Ten offices.
That'll be fun.
And so my family's going to come out there with me to Chicago for a weekend.
Robin,
going to Wyoming at the end of May. Little family reunion type deal out there in northeastern Wyoming, Sheridan to be exact.
Nice.
And then in early July, I'm going to head out to Georgia to go to Jekyll Island. You ever heard of it?
I have not.
It's right on the coast. It's just north of Jacksonville, on the southeastern corner of the coast
God, really?
of Georgia. I'd never even heard about it before. My dad and stepmom brought up the idea. We're like, sure, let's do it. It's apparently where like dudes like Rockefeller and like the big type, like the elitist of the elite back in like the 20s. That's where they would go. Like it was like their elite getaway island. It's now kind of become more like a natural preserve type place, but
Really?
yeah. So check that out. See what it's all about.
Simple, you're going to Carter Lake?
Yeah.
I'll be in Manawha quite a bit. Carter Lake's a
La
nice
Mesa,
little
La
spot.
Mesa and Lake Manawa.
Yeah, La Mesa, right on that expressway between Manawha and Council Bluffs.
Your vacation's going to be a trip to Indy in July.
Yeah, the Sundowner Margarita at La Mesa is pretty good. Sometimes I hit 2 of those.
Let's go.
I feel like I'm on vacation. All right, let's go. That's
in a
probably
glass.
enough. That's
Abby,
probably
are
enough.
you got the big camping trip this year?
I don't know if we'll go.
Why, Abby?
Well, it's a long time to be away from work, and
Oh, for
there's
God's
no internet at all. So when your job is like 90% Twitter, it's kind of hard.
You know, John
Is our
Cook could be doing
job-
something crazy too
Yeah.
if you were out there.
Is our job 90% Twitter?
Twitter is like, okay, when
it
I first
feels
started
like it. I'm always on there.
the Daily Nebraskan, when I was first there, they had a fax machine.
Okay.
And
This was year
99, 2000-ish. But like emails didn't really come to you like they do now, like the press releases and whatnot. They would send faxes to the Daily Nebraskan office, and that's what you had to check for.
Yep.
I remember that. I was a sports clerk at the Journal Star back at that same time, and
This is
it's like one of our jobs was to go over and check the faxes and get press releases and stuff like
But
that.
there
from
wasn't an
Nebraska.
urgency to turn and burn. I mean, the
No.
urgency
You
was
had all night.
like 9 o'clock at night. You had, I mean, you had all, like, you could go leave for dinner and come
I
back.
used to do it all the time. There'd be breaking football story in the morning. I'd do a little reporting, go home and mow the lawn, come back at 8 o'clock, got till 10 o'clock to write.
The writing was way better back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had time to perfect
Speak
it.
for yourself there, Sean.
Well, you had time to
Yours in particular. So.
perfect it and go over it. And, you know, you didn't have, I mean, you were really worried about the next morning. You weren't worried about like that second.
No, absolutely not. It was different times, better
Simpler
times.
times.
Better times. Better times.